Got it. And I'll come back here.
You sure you want to live stream our private conversation here?
No,
Maybe
not
you
the,
want to wait.
we'll do
Maybe
that
you want
after.
to. No, I'm saying, we're just chatting now until anybody shows up, I guess.
Okay, if you want me to disconnect everything, I just finished setting it all up.
Okay, your show. It's up to you.
No, it's not. I'm here to serve you, but I'm just saying I will have to dismantle everything, and then once everyone arrives, then I'll have to take out time to set everything up again.
Okay, all right. So
But I want to hear
tell
from
me
you.
what you read. Tell me
Excuse
what you
me.
read about Kṛṣṇa today. Tell me what you read about Kṛṣṇa today.
I'm just going to start the Krishna book song. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thanks, Prabhu. And I want to apologize to you for sending you links without in-depth explanation. Usually, if I'm writing to like 20 people at a time, but I realize when I'm addressing you, I need to do it, properly, respectfully, not being
Not just me, and it's not a matter of respect. It's just that
communication, good communication. Yeah.
Anyway, this is not the place for that. Let's go
Okay.
ahead and start Krishna book.
All right. Okay, and here is the Krishna book song, and we will begin. Okay. You're looking very blue tonight.
Yeah. Blue like Krishna.
Yeah, you remind me of your blue background, blue shirt. Okay. If you want, you can sing it, and I'll accompany you if you like.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 hey. Krishna, 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 Rakshamam. Krishna, 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 Pahimam. Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rama Raghava, Rakshamam. Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Krishna Keshava, Pahimam. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. O Lord Krishna, please protect us and maintain us. O Lord Rama, descendant of King Raghu, please protect us. O Krishna, O Keshava, killer of the Keshi demon, please maintain us. I'm very grateful to have your presence, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Never know who's going to come or not come. Okay, here's the Krishna book. We're on chapter 54, which, by the way, is the end. Jaya Bhavatrini, Hare Krishna. Happy to see you, God sister.
Thank you.
Nanda Patni,
Oh,
Prabhu
Nanda
Ki
Patni.
Jai, Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Welcome back. Yeah, so I was just saying to Danishwar Prabhu that I noticed in the titles of the Krishna book that this title ends volume 1 of the Krishna book. I know, I don't, actually, maybe Nanda Patni would remember because she was actually present at the inauguration of Srila Prabhupada receiving the Krishna book from George Harrison. But, I have a couple of three volume, early, three volumes together. But was the
Originally, it
original
was 2.
two? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So this is the last chapter in volume 1. what we're on tonight. Pradyumna born to Kṛṣṇa and Rukmiṇī. Would you like to start, Dineshwar Prabhu, then Bhavatrini? And is Nirhari there or not yet?
He's might not make it. He's not
Okay.
feeling good.
Okay, and then Nandapatni after you. Go ahead, Prabhu. Can't hear you, Daneshwar Prabhu. See your lips moving.
All right, better?
Yes, thank you.
It is said that Cupid, who is directly part and parcel of Lord Vasudeva and who was formerly burned to ashes by the anger of Lord Shiva, took birth in the womb of Rukmiṇī, begotten by Kṛṣna. This Kamadev, a demigod of the heavenly planets, especially capable of inducing lusty desires. This is Kamadev, a demigod of the heavenly planets, especially capable of inducing lusty desires. The Supreme Personality of Godhead Kṛṣna has many grades of part and parcels, but the quadruple expansions of Kṛṣna, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruda, are directly in the Vishnu category. Kama, or the Cupid demigod, who later took his birth in the womb of Rukmiṇī, was also named Pradyumna, but he cannot be the Pradyumna of the Vishnu category. He belongs to the category of Jiva Tattva, but for a special power in the category of demigods, he was a part and parcel of the superior prowess of Pradyumna. That is the verdict of the Goswamis. Therefore, when Cupid was burned into ashes by the anger of Lord Shiva, he merged into the body of Vasudeva. And in order to get his body again, he was begotten by Lord Krishna himself. He was directly released from his body in the womb of Rukmiṇī and was born as the son of Krishna, celebrated by the name of Pradyumna. Because he was begotten by Lord Krishna directly, his qualities were most similar to those of Krishna. There was a demon of the name Shambhara who was destined to be killed by this Pradyumna. This Shambhara demon knew of his destiny, and as soon as he learned that Pradyumna was born, he took the shape of a woman and kidnapped the baby from the maternity home less than 10 days after his birth. The demon took him and threw him directly into the sea. But as it is said, whoever is protected by Krishna, no one can kill, and whoever is destined to be killed by Krishna, no one can protect. When Pradyumna was thrown into the sea, a big fish immediately swallowed him. Later on, this fish was caught by the net of a fisherman, and the fish was later sold to this Shambhara demon. In the kitchen of the demon, there was a maidservant whose name was Mayavati. This woman had formerly been the wife of Cupid and had been called Rati. When the fish was presented to the demon Shambhara, it was taken charge of by his cook, who was to make it into a palatable fish preparation. Demons and the Rakshasas are accustomed to eat meat, fish, and similar non-vegetarian foods. Similarly, other demons like Ravana, Kamsa, Hiranyakashipu, although born of Brahmana and Kshatriya fathers, used to take meat and flesh without discrimination. This practice is still prevalent in India, and those who are meat and fish eaters are generally called demons and Rakshasas.
Oh, Prabhupada pulls no punches. Bhavatrini. Bhavatrini.
I got it. When the cook was cutting the fish, he found a nice baby within the belly of the fish, and he immediately presented him to the charge of Mayavati, who was an assistant in the kitchen affairs. This woman was surprised to see how such a nice baby could remain within the belly of a fish, and the situation perplexed her. The great sage Narada then appeared and explained to her about the birth of Pradyumna, how the baby had been taken away by Shambhara and later on thrown into the sea and so on. In this way, the whole story was disclosed to Mayavati, who had formerly been Rati, the wife of Cupid. Mayavati knew that she had previously been the wife of Cupid. After her husband was burnt into ashes by the wrath of Lord Shiva, she was always expecting him to come back again in the material form. This woman was engaged for cooking rice and dal in the kitchen. But when she got this nice baby and understood that he was Cupid, her own husband, she naturally took charge of him and with great affection began to bathe him. Miraculously, the baby very swiftly grew up, and within a very short time, he became a very beautiful young man. His eyes were just like the petals of lotus flowers. His arms were very long down to the knees. Any woman who happened to see him became captivated by his bodily beauty. Mayavati could understand that her former husband Cupid, born as Pradyumna, had grown into such a nice young man, and she also gradually became captivated and lusty. She was smiling before him with a feminine attractiveness, expressing her desire for sexual unity. He therefore inquired from her, "How is it possible that first of all you were affectionate like a mother, and now you are expressing the symptoms of a lusty woman? What is the reason for such a change?" On hearing this statement from Pradyumna, the woman Rati replied, "My dear sir, you are the son of Lord Kṛṣṇa. Before you were 10 days old, you were stolen by the Shambhara demon, and later on thrown into the water and swallowed up by a fish. In this way, you have come under my care, but actually in your former life as Cupid, I was your wife. Therefore, my manifestation of conjugal symptoms is not at all incompatible. Shambhara wanted to kill you, and he is endowed with various kinds of mystic powers. Therefore, before he again attempts to kill you, please kill him as soon as possible with your divine power. Since you were stolen by Shambhara, your mother, Rukmiṇī Devi, has been in a very grievous condition, like a cuckoo bird who has lost her babies. She is very affectionate toward you, and since you have been taken away from her, she has been living like a cow aggrieved over the loss of its calf."
Nandapatni.
Mayavati had mystic knowledge of supernatural power. Supernatural powers are generally known as Maya, and to supersede all such supernatural power, there's another supernatural power, which is called Mahamaya. Mayavati had the knowledge of the mystic power of Mahamaya, and she delivered to Pradyumna this specific energetic power in order to defeat the mystic powers of the Shambhara demon. Thus, being empowered by his wife, Pradyumna immediately went before Shambhara and challenged him to a fight. Pradyumna began to address him in very strong language so that his temper might be agitated and he would be moved to fight. At Pradyumna's words, the demon Shambhara, being insulted, felt just like a snake feels after being struck by one's leg. A serpent cannot tolerate being kicked by another animal or by a man, and he immediately bites the opponent. Shambhara felt the words of Pradyumna as if they were a kick. He immediately took his club in his hand and appeared before Pradyumna to fight. In great anger, he began to beat Pradyumna with his club, just like a thunderbolt beats a mountain. The demon was also groaning and making a noise like a thundering cloud. Pradyumna protected himself with his own club, and eventually he struck the demon very severely. In this way, the fighting between Shambharasura and Pradyumna began very seriously.
Jai, and very appropriately, we have Pradyumna Prabhu here with us to read the next two paragraphs. Pradyumna Prabhu.
But Shambharasura knew the art of mystic powers and could raise himself in the sky and fight from outer space. There is another demon of the name Maya. and Shambharasura learned many mystic powers from him. He thus raised himself high in the sky and began to throw various types of nuclear weapons at the body of Pradyumna. In order to combat the mystic powers of Shambharasura, Pradyumna remembered another mystic power known as Mahavidya, which was different from the black mystic power. The Mahavidya mystic power is based on the quality of goodness. Understanding that his enemy was formidable, Shambhara took assistance from various kinds of demonic mystic powers belonging to the Guhyakas and Gandharvas. The Gandharvas, the Pishachas, the snakes, and the Rakshasas. But although the demon exhibited his mystic powers and took shelter of supernatural strength, Pradyumna was able to counteract his strength and powers by the superior power of Mahavidya. And when Shambharasura was defeated in every respect, Pradyumna then took his sharpened sword and immediately cut off the demon's head, which was decorated with a helmet and with valuable jewels. When Pradyumna thus killed the demon, all the demigods in the higher planetary systems began to shower flowers on him.
Wasn't that only one paragraph?
Pradyumna's wife, Mayavati, could travel in outer space, and therefore they directly reached his father's capital, Dwarka, by the airways. They passed above the palace of Lord Kṛṣna and began to come down as a cloud comes down with lightning. The intersection of a palace is known as Antahpura, private apartments. Pradyumna and Mayavati could see that there were many women there, and they sat down among them. When the women saw Pradyumna dressed in bluish garments, with very long arms, curling hair, beautiful eyes, a smiling reddish face, jewelry and ornaments, they first of all could not recognize him as Pradyumna, a personality different from Kṛṣna. They all felt themselves to be very much blessed by the sudden presence of Kṛṣna, and they wanted to hide in a different corner of the palace.
Interesting. Okay. When the women saw, however, that all the characteristics of Kṛṣna were not present in the personality of Pradyumna, out of curiosity, they came back again to see him and his wife, Mayavati. All of them were conjecturing as to who he was, for he was so beautiful. Among the women was Rukmiṇī Devi, who was equally beautiful with her lotus-like eyes. Seeing Pradyumna, she naturally remembered her own son, and milk began to flow from her breast out of motherly affection. She then began to wonder, who is this beautiful young boy? He appears to be the most beautiful person. Who is the fortunate young woman able to give birth to this nice boy in her womb and become his mother? And who is that young woman who has accompanied him? How have they met? Remembering my own son who was stolen even from the maternity home, I can only guess that if he is living somewhere, he might have grown by this time to be like this boy. Simply by intuition, Rukmiṇī could understand that Pradyumna was her own lost son. She could only observe that Pradyumna resembled Lord Kṛṣna in every respect. She was struck with wonder as to how he acquired all the symptoms of Kṛṣna. She therefore began to think more confidently that the boy must be her own grown-up son, because she felt much affection for him, and as an auspicious sign, her left arm was trembling. At that very moment, Lord Kṛṣna, along with his father and mother, Devaki and Vasudeva, appeared on the scene. Kṛṣna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could understand everything, yet in that situation, he remained silent. However, by the desire of Lord Kṛṣna, the great sage Narada also appeared on the scene, and he began to disclose all the incidents, how Pradyumna had been stolen from the maternity home, how he had grown up and had come there with his wife Mayavati, who formerly had been Rati, the wife of Cupid. When everyone was informed of the mysterious disappearance of Pradyumna and how he had grown up, they all became struck with wonder, because they had gotten back their dead son after they were most hopeless of his return. When they understood that it was Pradyumna who was present, they began to receive him with great delight. One after another, all of the members of the family, Devaki, Vasudeva, Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Balaram, and Rukmiṇī, and all the women of the family began to embrace both Pradyumna and his wife Mayavati. When the news of Pradyumna's return was spread all over the city of Dwarka, all the astonished citizens began to come with great anxiety to see the lost Pradyumna. They began to say, "The dead son has come back. What can be more pleasing than this?" So I don't know how many more paragraphs there are. Oh, there's only one more. Danishwar, would you like to finish this chapter? Prabhu? I think you're muted.
Srila Sukadeva Goswami has explained that in the beginning, all the residents of the palace, who were all mothers and stepmothers of Pradyumna, mistook him to be Kṛṣna and were all bashful, infected by the desire for conjugal love. The explanation is that Pradyumna's personal appearance is exactly like Kṛṣna's, and he was factually Cupid himself. There was no cause of astonishment, therefore, when the mothers of Pradyumna and the other women mistook him in that way. It is clear from this statement that Pradyumna's bodily characteristics were so similar to Kṛṣna's that he was mistaken to be Kṛṣna even by his mother. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 54th chapter of Kṛṣna, Pradyumna born to Kṛṣna and Rukmiṇī. Thus ends volume 1 of Kṛṣna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Jai, can you see the paintings here that I've gathered up? I only have 4 or 5 of them. Or do I have to stop the share and restart the share?
May I ask a quick question before you do that, Cora?
Sure.
On the last paragraph there, why did they say that the women were all the mothers and stepmothers of Pradyumna?
Let's go back.
Because he actually says it twice in that last paragraph. So it says all the residents of the palace who were all mothers and stepmothers of Pradyumna. And then, later on he says it when the mothers, plural, of Pradyumna and other women mistook him in that way. So does anyone understand that?
Yeah, these are Kṛṣna's other wives, who are
right.
The wives of Kṛṣna. And because they mistook Pradyumna as Kṛṣna, they naturally had conjugal affection for him.
I think, are you asking why first it says mothers and stepmothers, and then it says mothers, all the mothers?
Yeah, I was just trying to.
So it makes a distinction between stepmothers and mothers, but I have no idea why it says that.
No comment from me.
I'd like to mention off topic that today on our solar calendar, it is the appearance day 101 of Srila Narayan Maharaj.
I've been receiving links on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we'll be going to a program. But it's also, this year is the 100th anniversary of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, instructing our Srila Prabhupada to come to the West and preach in English.
Is there a certain day for that, or?
I don't know the day. I can look it up. Oh, it's also my mother-in-law's solar birthday. She would have been 110. So.
I'm curious because on my Vaishnava calendar, it does not mention anything
about Which of the Prabhupada getting the instruction?
Okay, maybe I misunderstood you then. You said Narayan Maharaj's 101st appearance day, and then what else?
Oh, Srila Narayan Maharaj's 101 appearance day is today
Right.
in Hawaii. It might
Right.
be different in the mainland.
But
And
then,
this year is the 100th anniversary of Srila Prabhupada getting instructed to preach in the West by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But I don't know what date. And it's
All right.
my mother-in-law's birthday. And she died chanting Hare Krishna. She's
right.
right before she took her last breath, her daughter said, now, and she said the Maha Mantra and left her body.
That's
Haribol.
a successful.
Oh,
She gave
Yeah.
birth to devotees. Your
Yes.
wonderful husband and his siblings as well. The father became a devotee. Such an auspicious family.
He was initiated. She was also a devotee, but she never got initiated.
Wow.
Yeah. He got initiated when he took her ashes to India.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
God. And she was called Swati. What was her name?
Svargi.
Swagi.
Can you see the painting?
Yes, that's from the first Krishna book.
Little Pradyumna being found in the fish. And-
I was wondering how my Mayavati, who was Rati, ended up working in a demon's kitchen using a different name, and if she had changed bodies, because she didn't change bodies when he came. Does anyone know anything about that?
Very good question.
Here's the same painting in a modern, more recently done.
bigger baby and bigger fish.
Yeah, bigger baby, bigger fish. And the people look,
Almost photograph, doesn't it?
yeah, I was gonna say, it looks almost like a photograph.
He's got a good shock horror expression.
Yes.
A good shock aura?
Shock horror.
Shock horror. Horrified, shock.
Oh, okay. A shock aura.
No, horror.
Horror.
Horror. Horrific. Horror.
Like
Oh,
a horror show. Horror. Horror. Okay.
HORR. Oh. Oh.
really? You think he looks horrified?
But
Yeah.
it doesn't look like a fabulously wealthy demon's kitchen. And I think even the people working in the kitchen would have had more opulent clothing. It kind of looks modern to me. Just the feeling.
This is also Pradyumna.
Oh,
Not sure if this is from another chapter or not. Pradyumna is being reunited with Kṛṣṇa, and that must be Rukmiṇī there.
he looks a little young. He's supposed to be fully grown.
Here's a more modern rendition. Pradyumna meeting with Kṛṣṇa and Rukmiṇī.
That's even younger. They said he grew up and was full grown.
And here's Narada Muni hovering above Dwarka, seeing Pradyumna and the queens of Dwarka. So I have a few questions, unless someone else has a comment or question. Okay. So a few things I wrote down were, can anyone please tell me about the time that Cupid was burned by Lord Shiva? Does anyone
Yeah.
know that past?
Yes, I don't know it real well, but after Sati burnt herself up in a mystic fire. Lord Shiva was so distressed. I mean, there are so many stories, like she burned herself up in a mystic fire, but then he went all over the place dropping off parts of her body. So I don't understand that, but I don't really know that story, but I do know that he decided that he didn't want a wife. He didn't want anything to do with he just was meditating. And so the demigods, they became concerned. So they sent Cupid to distract him. And when Cupid saw him, he was so angry, he burnt him to ashes. So that's just the gist of the story. I don't remember much else. Does anyone else remember?
No details from anyone else?
No, I don't remember.
Not
And it
really.
was, yeah, Rasangi.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. I know that Parvati was sent there, and it was touch and go for her. But yeah, that was after Cupid had been burnt to ashes.
But Cupid was her son, right? Parvati's son.
No,
A son of her and Lord Shiva? No?
no.
Hmm.
No, their sons were Skanda and Ganesh, not Cupid.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, as far as I know.
It was Pradyumna's son, isn't he Krishna's descendant? Pradyumna.
Pradyumna is the son of Rukmiṇī and Kṛṣṇa.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Good memory.
he'd been Cupid. What?
Good memory.
Oh,
Amazing.
So I have this chapter from the Surartha Darshini by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Is anyone interested in hearing that?
yes, me.
I'll make this demo quick.
Oh, can I say something really fast? Last night before last, we were well enough to go to a program, and at the Gurukula, the children recited Jiva Goswami's definition of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Wow.
I'll give that later sometime.
I'd
But
love to hear it. You should tell us.
How old
well,
were
each word has a whole paragraph for it.
they?
And each Hare is different, and each Krishna is different, and each Rama is different. So you have,
Mhm.
Wow.
what is it? Yeah.
Amazing.
But when you said that commentary by Vishwanath, it made me think of that. Sorry.
Why don't we read a verse each? Bhavatrini, would you like to start?
Sure.
Yes. Share screen. Here we go.
Sri Sukha Uvacha Kamastu Vasudeva Vamsho Dagda Pragrudramanyuna Deho Pratatye Bhushyas Tam Eva Prachapadyata Sri Rupa Goswami, Sri Sukadev, I'm sorry, not even Sri, Sukadev Goswami said, Kamadev, Cupid, an expansion of Vasudev, had previously been burned to ashes by Rudra's anger. Now, to obtain a new body, he merged back into the body of Lord Vasudeva. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. In this chapter, Pradyumna, the son of Rukmiṇī, is stolen by Shambhara. Later, Pradyumna kills him and returns with his wife. We should understand the sequence of events to be that Pradyumna was born prior to Krishna's marriages to Jambavati and the other queens. Then the marriages took place, and after that, Pradyumna returned home. In this context, however, while the birth of Pradyumna is being described, all of his activities are also recounted since they deserve being related. It is seen that when the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, Swayam Bhagavan, appear in this world, by the Lord's own desire, they assume the reputations of opulent potencies, vibhutis, Kṛṣṇa contains within himself, rather than appearing according to their own reputations. This is done so that the materialistic men do not raise doubts, and in order to protect the confidential nature of bhakti. This is stated by Kṛṣṇa himself to Uddhava in the 11th canto, Paroksha Vada Rasha Paroksham Mama Cha Priyam. The Vedic seers and mantras deal in esoteric terms, and I am also pleased by such confidential descriptions. Srimad Bhagavatam 11:21-35. I'm sorry if I read too much. I think I read the verse and the translation, and then I read two paragraphs.
I'm not going to suggest whenever you want to pass it on to the next, we can just.
I'm ready. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overread.
No,
I wasn't doing a good job either.
Dandapatni, did you want to take over?
Yeah, I think you have to scroll up a little bit. Okay, is that it?
Now you're scrolling
Okay,
down.
now it. Okay, so it's seen that when the eternal associates of.
I just read that.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this way, the Vasu named Drona, Krishna's vibhuti, was merged into Nanda and Drona's wife, and Drona's wife Dara merged into Yashoda. The demigod named Vasu became Uddhava, Indra became Arjuna, Yamaraj became Vidura, and Kartikeya became Samba. Even the Supreme Lord himself appears through the celebrity of his plenary portions, amshas, which actually merge within him when he appears. For example, sometimes the Lord of Vaikuntha comes and takes birth in the home of Vasudeva, and sometimes it is Lord Vamana, or sometimes Rishi Narayan, or Kshirodakshay Vishnu. In this way, Pradyumna, who is the third member of Krishna's eternal fourfold plenary expansion, the Chatavyuha, appeared according to the reputation of the mundane Cupid, Kamadev, who is contained within himself, Pradyumna, and is an expansion of his own opulence, as stated in this verse. So I'll finish off here. This verse describes Kamadev as an expansion of Vibhuti or Kṛṣṇa or Vasudevamsho. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna confirms that he is Kamadev. Prajanash Chasmi Kandarpa. Of progenitors, I am the Kandarpa, Cupid. Bhagavad Gita 10:28. Kamadev attained another body by entering into the body of Pradyumna. This is attained not by his own powers, but by the will of the Lord, the ocean of variegated pastimes.
Pradyumna Prabhu.
Sa eva jato vaidarbhyam Krishna virya samudbhavaha Pradyumna iti vikyataha sarvato navamabhituhu. He took birth in the womb of Vaidarbhi from the seed of Lord Krishna and received the name Pradyumna. Pradyumna, in no respect, was he inferior to his father. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says Kamadev thus became famous as Pradyumna. Actually, Pradyumna is part of the Chaturvyuha with the spiritual Sachitananda body, whereas Kamadev is just a jiva, conditioned soul with special powers. The Gopala Tapani Upanishad confirms this point. Yatra sau sangshtitaha Krishnas tribi shaktya samahitaha Ramanirudha Pradyumnai Rukmiņa Sahito Vibhuhu. In Dwaraka, the Almighty Sri Krishna, endowed with his full potency, resided in the company of his three plenary expansions, Balarama, Aniruda, and Pradyumna. This is also stated by Narada Muni in the mantra recited by him in the first canto. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudevaya Dhimahi Pradyumnaya Niruddhaya Nama Sankarshanaya Cha. Let us all chant the glories of Vasudeva along with his plenary expansions Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Sankarshana. The present verse mentions that Pradyumna was not less than his father Krishna in any way. Sarvata Anavama Pituhu. The mundane Cupid, Kamadev, the servant of Indra, can never be described in this way. Thus, the proper explanation should be that he, Cupid, entered within Pradyumna by the will of the Lord and became situated there, just as the universe is situated within Krishna, or as Drona merged with Nanda Maharaj.
Rasangi, are you able to read, or are you traveling or busy?
I'm driving. I'll let you know when I come to a place that I can read.
Okay. I'm just wondering what just happened here. All of a sudden, how do I get back to where I was, Pradyumna?
I don't know what you did.
I don't know either. Pardon?
It looks like you're reading the 10th canto, Sarartha Darshini. So you have to find the page you were at. I think
Yeah,
we were at
no, of course.
49. I think we were there. Yeah, I think that's it. Go up a
No,
little bit.
no,
No, it's not.
You've got to go to text 3.
no. I'm sorry, folks. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, it just like disappeared. Everything
Well,
disappeared.
Just
do it
uh,
as if you were
history?
doing it for the first time.
Can you look through history in the menu bar?
Okay, I don't know. Is there a history here?
Do it the way you were doing it the first time, because we didn't go down that far. We're only 2 verses down.
right. So go up to the top again.
Who knows what chapter this is?
What was your
We
original?
were at chapter 3, I think. No, verse 3. We read 2 verses. Okay.
I don't think this is anywhere near where we are. But randomly chose chapter 1. No, definitely not. So how does one go quickly? Like really quickly. Command.
On the side, navigate on the left side.
I have no idea. I can't.
What did you do the first time? Just do the same thing you did the first time. Close it and start over.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
Okay, it's closed. And I'll go back to documents, downloads.
Why doesn't
And
somebody review what we just read? Does anybody want to comment on that, what we just read, or review it for us? Well, he
Well,
looks,
I did have a question, but it was answered because Srila Prabhupada said in Kṛṣṇa book that we shouldn't think that this Pradyumna was the same as one of the expansions of Kṛṣṇa, that he was an ordinary jiva, Cupid. But then they say that he's actually the ordinary jiva Cupid was placed by Kṛṣṇa into Pradyumna. So that answered that question.
Yikes. Trippy, huh? You understand that, right?
When we were reading a little earlier from the Krishna book itself, who was it that said that they had mystic powers? We mentioned Mahavidya, and it mentioned what, something like black magic. Was Sambara that had that power? Anyone remember? Because my question is related to that we sometimes we hear of people who are clairvoyant. So would you say that that is a mystic power, that some people have that gift?
I would think so, of course. But that's not the same as black magic, right? Black magic.
Clairvoyant is not one of the 6 cities.
I'm just trying to understand how you would classify clairvoyance, because some people they have the ability to have insights.
Oh, they're definitely advanced in understanding energy workers. They can see energy working, which is subtle, which is very interesting. Is it spiritual necessarily? Not necessarily.
Which one?
Being clairvoyant.
Which one is?
Is it being clairvoyant he's talking about?
Oh, that's not spiritual.
No, it's
It-
just
It,
materially advanced, subtle on the subtle plane, right? Never-
right. All those mystic powers can be transcendental if they're used for or by Krishna, but otherwise they're just material
powers.
Yeah, they're one of the things that keep you from becoming Krishna conscious. The desire to have the mystic cities.
It seems that some people who are astrologers, there seems to be some connection between being clairvoyant and being a good astrologer.
Yeah,
Wow.
sure. But then all astrologers were cursed by Pradyumna to be, I think, 90% accurate. And not by Pradyumna, by Lakshmi.
I found it.
Okay.
I used to take classes at the Berkeley Psychic Institute,
Really?
and there, I mean, to be clairvoyant, these are, anybody can learn this. You have to, you can do it quicker if you have a teacher, but all it takes is understanding what to do and then practice.
There's a lot of noise. It's a matter of knowing what to do and practice.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So is that what you've done? Yeah. Are you
No,
a
well, if you have time, I can tell you a little anecdote about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was working, and friend of mine I was working with, rather, back in 1988, was taking classes at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, and they offered that the students could bring a friend for a free aura reading if they wanted. He asked me if I wanted to go, and I thought, okay, that'd be fun. Let's go.
Did you say aura reading? Aura,
yeah. So we go into a large room, and they have 4 stations set up, and the students are doing the aura readings. And the way it worked is they would have 3 students sitting opposite to whoever they were reading their aura. And so my friend who sat down in one place, I went and sat down in another. And after a few minutes across the room, I could hear them telling him the colors of his aura. But my students were sitting there when they were making big yawns, and I started to think, well, this is a little bogus, or what's going on. Anyway, there was one teacher who was supervising the whole show, and she kept walking back and forth and looking at me from my feet to my head and back down to my feet. And finally she says to me, "Excuse me, do you have a spiritual teacher?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Oh, who is that?" I said, "Bhakti Vedanta Swami." Well, he must be very powerful because we cannot see your aura.
Wow.
You're surrounded by this column of white light, and we cannot see inside it. So unless your guru will give us permission to enter into that, we cannot give you an aura reading.
Wow.
So I took this to be the shelter that we get from chanting Hare Krishna mantra,
Huh.
right? Because Prabhupada tells us, right? You chant your japa so that you have spiritual protection.
Yes. Wonderful. So you were dressed in plain clothes. They couldn't really tell that you would be a spiritual.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. There was nothing to give that away.
No,
Cool.
no, I mean, you know, from that I understood these people are a little psychic, right? And so I thought, okay, I'll sign up for a class, and I did that, and I went to the class, and as soon as I walked in the door, the teacher would look at me again from my feet to my head, and he'd say, "Oh, you're doing some kind of meditation, huh? Don't do that. We don't like that." And I said, "Okay, okay." Next week I came back. He looks at me again like that. He says, "You're still doing that meditation, huh? Don't do that. We don't like that." And the third week I came back. I walk in the door, and he looks at me and he says, "I thought I told you to stop." And I said, "Well, that doesn't mean I'm going to." He said, "Look, you don't understand. When you come in this room, you change the energy of the entire room. So
Wow.
if you're not going to stop that, don't come back." So again, I take this to be the potency of, or the shelter, the energy of chanting the Maha Mantra, so much so that our mere presence purifies the atmosphere
Wow.
wherever we go. It was a wonderful confirmation for me about chanting.
And this guy couldn't understand.
No, he wasn't interested. Well, you know, what they do is they're psychic, and they know how we influence each other. And so their philosophy is that they're teaching their students how to get everybody else's energy out of your field so that you can live your own life without interference from other people's thought impressions.
Hmm.
So, you know, that's their philosophy, but, you know, they don't want any guru energy there or anything like that, you know, just, but of course we do. We want that spiritual protection.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually psychic, and
Oh.
I was born that way. And I'm also a Jyotishmara. I didn't forget who I was when I died and took birth again. And I've never been around people who teach others to be clairvoyant or psychic, but I have been around a lot of famous psychics and, you know, people that talk to ghosts, I forget what you call it, and people that and people that tell your future, et cetera, et cetera. And most of them are very open to Krishna consciousness.
Uh-huh.
And they aren't teaching a class and trying, it sounds a little demoniac to me, what you were entering into. Because,
anyway, he said that and I just turned around and left. So.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that I've never been around people that teach it. I just naturally was that way, but I found it annoying, so I've kind of capped it.
No.
But
I was
plus,
going to ask you for a reading.
I still do readings, but that's why I started doing tarot card readings, so I could kind of regulate where the psychic practices took place.
Are tarot cards supposed to be an instrument to be able to do that type of research?
I don't know.
You don't have this conviction about tarot cards then?
No, I don't know. I just use them because they were convenient. And the first time I had a tarot card reading, I could read the cards. So, but you can teach people how to read them, and there are books on it that give you mathematical. Plus, I did astrology for a while, but we're really getting off topic. So,
Okay.
just like Bhaktisiddhanta was the best astronomer and astrologer in the world.
Right, he gave it up.
And he gave it up.
Who's the last to read? Can you remember?
Dhaneshwar. Was it Dhaneshwar?
No.
Or was it? No? Oh, was it
Uh,
Naga?
Nanda Patni, were you the last to read? Can't hear you.
I remember we went diving off into a psychic pool.
Would you like to read?
Who, moi?
Pradyumna?
Oh,
Pradyumna read last.
I think it was Pradyumna.
It was
actually.
Pradyumna, right?
Yeah.
Are you there, Pradyumna?
When it comes to me then. Okay, next three. Tam sham barakamarupi hritvatokam anirdasham savidit vatmana shatrum prasyodanvatyagad griham. The demon Shambhara, who could assume any form he desired, kidnapped the infant before he was even 10 days old. Understanding Pradyumna to be his enemy, Shambhara threw him into the sea and then returned home. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Sambara stole the infant before he was 10 days old. The Vishnu Purana says Pradyumna was kidnapped 6 days after his birth. Sambara understood Kamadev was his enemy, Viditva Atmana Shatrum, because he learned from Narada that Kamadev would kill him in the future. And I realized I did not have the share screen on. So there it is. And then Ishwar Prabhu is next.
Where are we? Text 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Tamnirjagara Balavan Minisopya Arayai Saha Rito Jalena Mahata Grihito Matsya Jivabi. A powerful fish swallowed Pradyumna, and this fish, along with others, was caught in a huge net and seized by fishermen. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Pradyumna was swallowed by a powerful fish, Balavan Minaha. This was done by the desire of the Lord, who likes to perform a variety of pastimes. It was not that the fish was stronger than Pradyumna. I guess that's Krishna's plan, so to speak.
What is?
This is
Yeah,
done
the
by the
fishy
desire of the
pastime.
Lord.
Uh-huh.
Wink, wink.
Would you like to read the next one? That was really short.
Okay. Tam sambaraya kaivarta upaja ru upayanam shuddha maha samnitpa tadyan sudhiti nabutam. The fisherman presented that extraordinary fish to Shambhara, who had his cooks bring it to the kitchen, where they began cutting it up with a butcher knife. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The cooks cut open the fish with a big knife.
Bavatrini, why don't you read two verses? These are short. This is a really long verse. Can't hear you, Bavatrini.
Oh,
Text 6.
Mike.
okay.
Hello?
Can you?
Haribol Prabhu's just.
Welcome back.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
So we get it.
Trisvata dudare balam mayavatya nyavedayan narado katayat sarvam tasya sankita chittasa balasya tattvam utpatim matsyodara niveshanam. Seeing a male child in the belly of the fish, cooks gave the infant to Mayavati, who was astonished. Narada Muni then appeared and explained to her everything about the child's birth and his entering the fish's abdomen. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, quote, told her everything, unquote. Akata yat sarvam means Narada said Mayavati, this child is Cupid, Kamadev, your husband. Text 7a. Sacha Kamasyavai Padni Ratar Namad Sasvini Patyur Nirdagda Dehasya Dehot Patim Pratikshati Nirupita Samvarena Sa Saudadana Sadane Kamadevan Shishun Budva Chakre Sneham Tadar Bake. Mayavati was in fact Cupid's renowned wife, Rati. While waiting for her husband to obtain a new body, his previous one was having been burnt up, she had been assigned by
Shambhara, the demon.
Shambhara to prepare vegetables and rice. Mayavati understood that this infant was actually Kamadev, and thus she began to feel love for him. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur.
Should I read? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, the Matsya Purana, he explains why Mayavati was waiting for Kamadev, Cupid, to take a new body. When Cupid's body was burned to ashes by Lord Shiva, Rati worshipped Lord Shiva to obtain another body for Cupid. Shambhara, having also come to Shiva for a benediction, was recognized by the Lord first, who told him, you should now ask for your benediction. Shambhara was struck with lust at seeing Rati, replied that he wanted her as his benediction, and Shiva complied. Lord Shiva then comforted the weeping Rati, telling her, go with him, and in his very home you will attain what you desire. Thereupon Rati bewildered Shambhara with her deluding power, and taking the name Mayavati, remained in his house without being touched by him.
Aha, that answers your question.
Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Text 9. Nati dirgena kalena.
Go further. I'm sorry. I'm a little slow. I'm not assimilating a lot. Can someone just explain things in a simple way? Nanda Patni, what is it that
Okay.
you're getting? Yes, go on.
Well, I mean, basically, it's kind of explaining how what's her name, Mayavati, came to be in this cook's kitchen, and it's explained that Lord Shiva, what should I say, directed her to be there under the auspices of this demon Shambhara. Both Shambhara and Mayavati approached Lord Shiva for benedictions, and Shiva gave the benediction to Shambhara first and said, you know, you can have this Mayavati / Rati to, you know, be in your household, you know, under your auspices, so to speak.
As a consort, as a cook, or?
Well, kind of as a consort, yes, but in the last line, it says that she remained in the house untouched by him. So, you know, it's all part of a sort of intriguing pastime, if you will.
Yeah.
Can I add
Yes, go ahead, Prabhuji.
What happened is when Lord Shiva burnt Cupid to ashes, Rati, his wife, went there to get a benediction from him to get another body for Shiva. But when she got there, I mean, from Shiva for Cupid. So when she got there, you might say there was a line, and Shambhara was in front of her. And since he got there first, Shiva said, okay, I'll grant you, ask whatever you want. Well, I don't know what he came to Shiva for, but as soon as he saw Rati, he forgot whatever he wanted, and he just wanted her. So Lord Shiva said, okay, you can have her. And then Rati's weeping, and Lord Shiva says, don't worry, you go with him and you'll get what you desire. So she had various mystic powers. So using her illusory power, she ended up living in his house and never being touched by him.
Okay. And then, but then she did get her Cupid back as
you'll get what you want in the house, in the kitchen.
Yeah,
So,
by going with
that was pretty complicated. Yeah. All right, please continue. Text 9.
Nati dirgena kalena shakashni ruda yovana janayam ashanarinam vikshantinam chavi brahmam. After a short time, the son of Kṛṣna, Pradyumna, attained his full youth. He enchanted all women who gazed upon him. Text 10. Satam patem padma dalye tekshanam pralamba bahum naraloka sundaram savrida hirashtato bita bruvekshati prito patashte ratiranga sharotai. My dear king, with a bashful smile and raised eyebrows, Mayavati exhibited various gestures of conjugal attraction as she lovingly approached her husband, whose eyes were broad like the petals of a lotus, whose arms were very long, and who was the most beautiful of men. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Rati expressed conjugal attraction to Pradyumna by the dancing movements of her upraised eyebrows. Here is the truth about this. Intending to inform him of the entire truth of his identity, either that very day or else the next day, she was thinking, then I will display full conjugal love for him. But by the whim of destiny, Mayavati came under the sway of lust even before revealing the truth to him in private, and spontaneously exhibited her conjugal feelings.
Nandapatni.
By raising her eyebrows, no less. That's so funny.
That's a great weapon.
Yep. Watch the eyebrows.
You just see these eyebrows going up and down, right?
But in the Bhagavatam, Cleopatra's eyebrows conquered Julius Caesar, right?
Yeah.
That women have power in their eyebrows.
Yeah, it's like that phrase, to bat an eyelid, right? Tamaha Bhagavan Kashmir Mataste Mata Anyata Matera Bhavam Ati Kramya Vartase Kamaniyata. Lord Pradyumna told her, "Oh mother, your attitude has changed. You're overstepping the proper feelings of a mother and behaving like a lover." Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Yes, I guess if you think someone's like your mother and suddenly they're raising their eyebrows at you, it's a bit weird. The word Bhagavan, Supreme Lord, implies that even though Pradyumna, Kashmir, was endowed with qualities of omniscience, nevertheless, by the will of Kṛṣna, the treasure house of transcendental pastimes, Pradyumna's omniscience became covered, and he spoke in this manner. The real meaning of his words is, you should not have any other tendency than this ecstatic loving attraction you're displaying. After all, you have quite rightly transgressed the mood of a mother, Vatsalya Bhav, and are actually my lover, Kṛṣṇa, in conjugal ras. Mm-hmm. Do I continue?
You like, unless...
Okay. Ratiruvacha Bhavan Narayana Sutta Sambarena Hrito Grihat Aham Te Dikrita Patni Rati Kamo Bhavan Prabhu. Rati said, you are the son of Lord Narayan and were kidnapped from your parents' home by Sambara. I, Rati, am your intelligent wife, O master, because you are Cupid. Legitimate wife, O master, because you are Cupid. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Mayavati considered him to be Kamadev, so she said, I am your wife. Pradyumna made her, who was formerly Rati, the material wife of the material Kamadev, his wife by touching her, just as a touchstone transforms objects by contact. However, she is actually his own eternal Shakti, the mother of Aniruda, according to the Vaishnava Toshani. Rukmavati was the actual mother.
That would be a rather disconcerting for, I'm thinking, any child who thinks of a woman as his mother, and then she says, "No, you're my lover." It's like that's a real head trip to go through.
Yeah. Pradyumna, are you able to read? Are you there, Prabhu? Pradyumna? Rasangi travel.
Actually, it's like ew. Yeah, right? Okay, I'm trying. I'll read in a little bit. I'm going to put it on my computer. It's
Okay.
too small on my phone.
I can read.
Oh, good. You're here, Shikarani. Please read your beautiful Sanskrit voice.
From the top, right?
13. Read 3 verses because these are just one sentence long each.
Okay. Esha Twanirdasham Sindhav Akshipach. It's very difficult for me to read Sanskrit in English. I prefer to read Sanskrit in Sanskrit. But I will try. Akshipach Chambaro Shura Matasyo Grasit Tad Udarad Itah Prapto Bhavan Prabho. That demon Sambara threw you into the sea when you were not even 10 days old, and a fish swallowed you. Then in this very place we recovered you from the fish's abdomen, O Master. Tam imam jahi durdarsham. Durjyam shastram atmana. Maya sata vidam tamcha. Mayabhir mohanadibhi. Now kill this dreadful Shambara, your formidable enemy. Although he knows hundreds of magic spells, you can defeat him with bewildering magic and other techniques. Parishochati te mata khurarev gata praja putra sneha kula dina vivatsa gaura ivatura. Your poor mother, having lost her son, cries for you like a kurari bird. She is overwhelmed with love of her child, just like a cow that has lost its calf.
Text 16. Prabhashayabam dadao vidyam pradyumnaya mahatmane mayavati mahamayam sarvamaya vinashinim. Shukadev Goswami continued, speaking thus, Mayavati gave to the great soul Pradyumna the mystic knowledge called Mahamaya, which vanquishes all other deluding spells, such cha shambaram abhyetya samyugaya samayavayat avishayashtam akshepai kshipan sanjanayan kalim. Pradyumna approached Shambhara and called him to battle, hurling intolerable insults at him to foment a conflict. Text 18. So dikshipto durvacho bihi padayahata evoragaha nischakram gadapanir amarshatamra lochanaha. Offended by these harsh words, Shambhara became as agitated as a kick snake. He came out, club in hand, his eyes red with rage. And Prabhu.
Brahma Vidya Darsha Pradyumnaya Mahatmane Prakshiksha Vyan Nadam Vajra Nishpesha Nishturam. Shambhara whirled his club swiftly about and then hurled it at the wise Pradyumna, producing a sound as sharp as a thundercrack. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, throwing the club, Shambhara produced a sound as sharp as a thundercrack. The phrase Vyanadan Nadam, creating a resonance, is a valid statement in the same way as the phrase Vachanam Obachat. He made a statement. Tamapat Tantim Bhagavan Pradyumno Gadaya Gadam Apasya Satrave Krudha Prahino Gadam Nipam. As Shambhara's club came flying toward him, Lord Pradyumna knocked it away with his own. Then, O king, Pradyumna angrily threw his club at the enemy. Last one. Sachamayam samasritya daitayim maya darshitam mumute stramayam varsham Kṛṣṇa Vyahayashyasura, resorting to the black magic of the Daityas taught to him by Mayadanava. Shambhara suddenly appeared in the sky and released a downpour of weapons upon Krishna's son, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, while moving in the sky by Hasya. Shambhara released weapons on Kamadev.
Nirhari Bhavatrini.
Yeah, go ahead.
Text 22. Vadyamanostra varshena Rukmiṇeyo Maharata Satvamikam Mahavidyam Sarvamayo Pramardinam. Harassed by this rain of weapons, Lord Rukmiṇeya, son of Rukmiṇī, I guess, Rukmiṇī. The greatly powerful warrior made use of the mystic science called Mahamaya, which was created from the mode of goodness and which could defeat all other mystic power. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Excuse me. Kamadev used sattvika weapons. The verb of the sentence prayukta he used is found in the next verse. Text 23. Tato Gauyaka Gandharva Pasho Choraga Rakshasi Prayukta Satasho Daitya Kṛṣṇirvayadam Mayat Sataha. The demon then unleashed hundreds of mystic weapons belonging to the Guyakshas, Gandharvas, Pishachas, Uragas, and Rakshasas. But Lord Kṛṣṇa, Pradyumna, struck them all down. Text 24. Nishatam asham udyam ya sakritam sakundalam sambarashya shira kaya tamrashmashri saharat. Drawing his sharp-edged sword, Pradyumna forcefully cut off Shambhara's head, complete with red mustache, helmet, and earrings. Text 25, or Nari should read?
Either way.
Okay. I'll just read this one. You can go from there. Text 25. Akir Yamano Devijai Stuva Debi Kushamat Karai Baryam Barak Charinya Puram Nito Vihashyasha. As the residents of the higher planet showered Pradyumna with flowers and chanted his praises, his wife appeared in the sky and transported him through the heavens back to the city of Dwarka.
Jai ho. Antapura varam rajan lalana shata sankulam vivisha patnya gaganad vidyuteva balahaka. O king, Lord Pradyumna and his wife resemble a cloud accompanied by lightning as they descended from the sky into the inner quarters of Krishna's most excellent palace, which were crowded with lovely women. Text 27, 28.
Can you scroll? Yeah.
Keep scrolling.
Okay.
Tandrishva jalada syamam pita kosheya vasasam pralamba bahum tamriksham susmitam ruchirananam suam alankrita mukam bojam nilavakra la kala kalibihi Krishnam matva striyo srita nili news tatra tatraha. The women of the palace though he was Lord Kṛṣṇa, thought he was Lord Kṛṣṇa when they saw his dark complexion, the color of a rain cloud, his yellow silk garments, his long arms and red-tinged eyes, his charming lotus face adorned with pleasing smile, his fine ornaments, and his thick, curly blue hair. Thus, the women became bashful and hid themselves here and there. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Pradyumna looked like Kṛṣṇa with his abundant hair, alaka alibi, which was both dark blue and curly.
Just so we can finish the chapter, does everyone mind if we don't chant the Sanskrit just so we can get through and complete the chapter? Is that all right?
It's fine.
Okay with me?
Pradyumna, are you there? Can you read, or are you busy with your kids? Oh yeah, he puts his children to bed at 8:30. Rasangi, are you available now, or are you still busy? Text 29. Okay, I'll continue. Gradually, from the slight differences between his appearance and Krishna's, the ladies realized he was not the Lord. Delighted and astonished, they approached Pradyumna and his consort, who was a jewel among women. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, understanding Avadharya, that Pradyumna was not Kṛṣṇa by his differing characteristics, the queens approached him and his consort Rati, who is described as the jewel among women, Sri Ratnam. 30. Seeing Pradyumna's sweet-voiced, dark-eyed Rukmiṇī remembered her lost son, and her breast became moist out of affection. Srimati Rukmiṇī Devi said, "Who is this lotus-eyed jewel among men? What man's son is he? And what woman carried him in her womb? And who is this woman he has taken as his wife?" Rukmiṇī said, "Whose Kashya son is the best among men?" Nara Vaidurya. Daneshwar Prabhu, read a few verses.
Text 32. If my lost son, who was kidnapped from the maternity room, were still alive somewhere, he would be of the same age and appearance as this young man. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Rukmiṇī continued, my son, who was taken by some kidnapper, Balagraham, Caesar of children, would be of the same age and appearance as this young man. Is this? He seems to be repeating exactly the verse. Is that? It seems to me that maybe we're missing something, but because it's exactly the same. I don't know.
He seems to explain it in the next verse.
Yeah, it doesn't seem any different from what the verse says.
Many times, sometimes there's more. Yeah.
Okay. But how is it that this young man who so much resembles my own Lord Kṛṣṇa, the wielder of the Shanga, and in his bodily form, in his limbs, in his gait, and the tone of his voice, and in his smiling glance? Yes, he must be the same child that bore in my womb, since I feel great affection for him, and my left arm is quivering. Next.
Nandapatni? Or no, it's Bhavatrini now, isn't it? And no, but you just read. I'm a little confused. Okay, I guess it's
Anyway, whatever. As Queen Rukmiṇī
Please
conjectured
verses,
in this way, as Queen Rukmiṇī conjectured in this way, Lord Kṛṣṇa, the son of Devaki, arrived on the scene with Vasudeva and Devaki. Although Lord Janardhan knew perfectly well what had transpired, he remained silent. The sage Narada, however, explained everything, beginning with Shambhara's kidnapping of the child. When the women of Lord Kṛṣṇa's palace heard this amazing account, they joyfully greeted Pradyumna, who had been lost for many years, but who had now returned as if from the dead. Devaki, Vasudeva, Kṛṣṇa, Balaram, and all the women of the palace, especially Queen Rukmiṇī, embraced the young couple and rejoiced. Hearing that lost Pradyumna had come home, the residents of Dwarka declared, Providence has allowed this child to return as if from death. It is not astonishing that the palace women, who should have felt maternal affection for Pradyumna, privately felt ecstatic attraction for him, as if he were their own Lord. After all, the son exactly resembled his father. Indeed, Pradyumna was a perfect reflection of the beauty of Lord Kṛṣṇa, the shelter of the goddess of fortune, and appeared before their eyes as Cupid himself. Since even those on the level of his mother felt conjugal attraction for him, then what to speak of how other women felt when they saw him? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This verse describes the beauty of Pradyumna. On seeing him, Rukmiṇī thought of Bhava's, her own Lord, Sri Kṛṣṇa, because his beauty was equal to that of Kṛṣṇa, his father. However, the word tan matara, his mother's, refers to Rukmiṇī alone, but appears in the plural. Aha, this is what I was wondering, but appears in the plural form to show respect. Even before finding out Pradyumna's identity, Rukmiṇī developed full-blown ecstatic motherly love, bhava vatsalya mayi priti, for him, as stated previously in verse 34, amushmin priti adika, I feel great affection for him. Rukmiṇī displayed her parental affection in the privacy of her chambers, raha, since Kṛṣṇa's other wives did not have the right to enter there. Concluding that Pradyumna must be her lost son, but still doubtful, Rukmiṇī then worshipped him, abhajan, by inspecting his limbs, smelling his head, and stroking his body with her hands. It was not astonishing for her to act in this way with Pradyumna. Why? Because he was the shelter of the goddess of fortune, Ramaspada, the abode of all beauty, and the most perfect reflection of the personal form of Kṛṣṇa, Bimba Bimbe Sri Kṛṣṇa Gatram, to be seen in all the three worlds. Thus, Rukmiṇī ascertained that Pradyumna was Kṛṣṇa's son, and now had directly realized this herself. But only she, his mother, had such an attitude towards him, and no other women, as stated by the words beginning kamas smara, what is it? Smare. Pradyumna is called Kamadev or Smara because whenever the palace women saw Pradyumna, they immediately remembered their consort, Sri Kṛṣṇa. Even without Pradyumna's presence, lust would arise in the queens just by remembering Smara, him. What to speak then of his personal presence? Could any other women behave like Rukmiṇī towards Pradyumna, Kamadev, Smara? No, they could not, for they would become agitated by lust.
Does anyone, it looks like, okay, good. Shamataka Joel's coming up. Anyone have any reflections on this? Nanda Patni, anything from you on what you just read?
It's quite magical. The whole thing is really quite an extraordinary Dwarka pastime. I think it gives me, more insight into the goings on in the Dwarka realm, which I'm not as familiar with actually. So, it's rather wonderful to hear them.
Does anybody know how Pradyumna and Rukmiṇī became separated? I'm so confused.
Yes, we just read that in the Kṛṣṇa book, and you weren't here yet. What happened was there were when he was burnt up by Shiva, and his wife went to Shiva to see if she could get him back, but the demon Smara, what was his name, Shambhara, was there first, and so he wanted to have Rati for himself. So Shiva said, "Don't worry, go with him, and that's where you will get Cupid back. You'll get your husband back by being there." So she was there, but she had powers. So she used her power to put him in illusion. He never touched her. And all she did while she was there was make rice and dal in his kitchen. And one day a fisherman caught a huge fish and brought it to the kitchen. And when the cook opened up the fish's belly, there was Pradyumna. He was less than 10 days old when he was kidnapped. So they gave him to Rati, who was using the name Mayavati or Mayavati. And she took care of him, but Narada Muni came and explained, oh, this is your husband. And he immediately became full grown right in front of her eyes. And then she felt conjugal feelings for him before she explained to him what was going on. So we read that.
If anyone's looking for romantic intrigue, they can sure find it in the Krishna book.
And then
Oh, we
Rukmiṇī
have the
finds-
love letter.
And then
first.
Rukmiṇī finds her long lost son. And
Yes,
him, and she didn't say she nursed him, but
she
touched
had her breast
a
filled
little
with
bit.
milk when she saw him.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Taking him in their
Not really
she examined him.
Yeah.
Nityalila came. Nityalila, do you have any thoughts or questions on this pastime? You've been silent. I didn't even know you were here. Nityalila. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
Taking a break from her doctor's duties.
Yes, see, actually, my mom was not all right, I told you. So she is now on oral medication, otherwise was taking injectable. So I was busy, I could not spend time.
I understand.
She's
How is your mother?
completely-
How's your mother now? She's better?
Yeah, she's completely fine now. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I would like someone to please reach out to Krishna Chandra Prabhu on
We did.
Facebook.
We did.
Oh,
We
you
did.
did? And?
Yeah,
You
I
forgot
told
to
you.
tell
No,
her.
I told you the message. He said that his mother's in the hospital
Yeah.
and he has to go there
Yeah.
every
Right at
day.
the time of
And he thought of being on class there, but it wouldn't work. So as soon as she's home again, he'll be back on class.
Oh, good.
Okay, got it. Got it. Yeah, so Nityalila, anything, I don't know how much of this you heard. Do you have any comments or questions?
Actually, I joined in last part basically. So I was just trying to focusing on Pradyumna's story and
Okay.
Ji told about how that fish and is related to that Pradyumna appearance, and I was just listening. Yeah.
Okay. Shikarani, anything from you? Any appreciation or question or?
I actually got to know about this story just today. I don't remember this part very well.
Quite amazing, isn't it?
Wherever I usually have read all these stories mostly in the form of web series in India because I used to watch them since childhood. So mostly they focus more on Krishna. So I think after Kansa is killed, they usually stop the series.
Oh,
So I never reached this part. So it was really interesting. I only knew that his son name was Pradyumna because I really like the name Pradyumna, and I always used to think I will actually name my son as Pradyumna.
Oh, nice.
So we'll hold you to that then.
yeah.
Hope so.
Dinesh Prabhu, did anything stand out for you tonight that you'd like to comment on?
No comments, thank you, other than for your kind association.
Yeah, one thought that came to me was just like the topic of kidnapping children was in this story, how Shambhara kidnapped Pradyumna. So there's a lot of kidnapping of children that's been going on. And so it seems this demoniac tendency is not just from the Krishna book times, but it's continued to the present.
But
Yeah,
Shambhara knew that Pradyumna would kill him.
oh,
He was told. That's
Uh-huh.
why he kidnapped him as soon as he could. And I thought it was interesting how all the questions we had when we read Srila Prabhupada's Krishna book were answered by Vishwanath Chakravarti just now.
Yeah, that was interesting.
That was amazing, isn't it?
one thing that stands out is how it looks just like his father, Krishna.
Ah,
And also we hear that his best friend, the Sentamatura.
Oh,
Akru-
Akura.
No,
No, not Akura. What am I talking about?
Uddhava.
What's his name?
Uddhava?
Uddhava.
Sorry.
I can't think of his name. Yeah, Uddhava looked like Krishna. So when the
Yeah.
gopis saw him at first, they were bashful.
Uh-huh.
But in this one, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that he's the most like his father in beauty. He said even when the women speak about him, they go bashful. And so what to speak when they saw him? So Rukmiṇī takes him to another chamber, her private chamber, to examine him, to make sure that that's her son. And then she confirms it.
Mm-hmm. And everyone lived happily ever after in Dwarka.
Yes.
I thought it was a very interesting sentiment, that something that you would never really think about in the modern times is that when people saw this great beauty in this young man, that they immediately thought, now whose womb did he come from? What woman produced this great, beautiful person? I mean, that's people would never think like that nowadays.
That was only
Yeah,
his
that's
mother. That
Was it only his mother?
Yes,
that was only
that
Rukmiṇī.
way.
And she already had
But it's
milk coming from her breast.
right, but
What an amazing sentiment, you know.
Yes.
I think that's quite an extraordinary thing.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah.
So, Lord Krishna had how many children? I never
he had what?
yeah, 10 boys from each
per
queen
wife.
and one girl.
Yeah, thousands.
Each queen had 10
What was
wives
it?
and one
16,108 wives. And they each
girl.
had
10.
16,000.
times 11 if you want girls.
Right.
So each had 10 sons and 1 daughter.
Yes.
Exactly. How can everybody have equal number of children?
Oh, Krishna can do what he pleases. It seems to be a number that apparently is.
I know that in Hindu culture, 11 number is considered very pious and very soup. So maybe.
That's true.
Yeah.
So I promised I would speak to Daneshwar right after. It looks like he's already left.
Okay.
But I'd like to say this Wednesday, if Bhavacharini and Nrihari Prabhu would like to bless us, we'll be reading about Shamantakaju, Shamantakaju, bright and
shining jewel.
That's one of their big hits on the up there in the top 10 in the Krishna Loka hit parade.
Can you
Yeah,
tell us about that? What's exactly that?
You'll have to wait for Wednesday to find out. Okay. So can you brush up on that song for Wednesday, please?
Okay. Sure.
Cool.
It's another one that I wrote on. I didn't write it on the guitar, so.
Can I wanted to share something real quick.
Yeah.
You said, when you said how wonderful it is that it's explained. Now we learn more about what's in Prabhupada's books by reading Vishwanath Chakravarti's works. And I once heard the story of Lord Krishna when he was a young boy, and he went to the forest with his friend Sudama. They were sent by the spiritual master's wife to go collect wood. She sent packets of food with them, and there was a big rainstorm, and they got stuck in the rain, and they didn't come back. And Sudama ate Krishna's packet of food.
It was chipped rice.
That's why he became poor.
Yeah, we've recently found.
And it was chipped rice.
Yeah.
But I never understood that. You know who told me? Bodhayan Maharaj. When he went to a program, and I said, Maharaj, I never could understand that. How could an intimate associate of Krishna be so poor? They didn't even have clothes to wear. They had to share the same cloth. How is that possible? And he told me that.
Because it was an offense of Sudam because he ate some of Krishna's lunch?
Yes,
Wow.
he ate all of it. He ate the entire thing. They got separated.
And you know what he told me? I said that this makes so much sense. This is everything in our philosophy makes sense.
Uh,
And I
Yes,
didn't
yes.
know what I mean. The answers are there somewhere.
wow.
That
Wow.
was so
If needed, yeah, it reminds me like there are morsels of prasadam that the pure devotees like to distribute. Krishna likes to, so he also likes to praise his devotees. So you can see how the story spreads out through, lines of pure devotees that put it as we read, we can put it together. But look how many years it's been. For me, it was like 40 years, 48 years that I never knew that part of the story.
Yes.
when I
Wonder,
heard it too, it blew me away.
Me
Yeah.
too.
It made sense. It
Yeah.
made sense.
And that's
And
why
then-
it's really nice to read these other commentaries so we get these insights.
Right.
The
Yeah.
children at the Gurukula last night did that play, Sudama and and
Did you tell him
Krishna.
it's Sri Lanka Maharaj's appearance?
Yeah, I told him it's Srila Narayan Maharaj's appearance
Yes,
day.
yes.
Been lovely, lovely
Sorry.
offerings all day long from
Mm.
everywhere. It's
Nice.
wonderful, wonderful.
So this Wednesday, Guru Das is going to speak again about his book.
Yeah, and I put the slideshow up from last week. I find my friend Govinda has not been very helpful. He's traveling and not available, but I got it up now. And then we're going to meet Wednesday at 10:30 again for part 2 of the
Oh,
slideshow.
okay.
Hmm.
That'll be 1:30 for us on the East Coast.
Yes.
8:30 for us in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah, 8:30.
Right. I got to go and join Daneshwar now. So thank you so
Okay.
much for your
Thank
pure.
you. Yeah, we're going to be singing in English on a Zoom program on Tuesday for
Mercy, Grace, and Leela.
it's for Narayan Maharaj.
Okay.
Everyone
And the
wants
song
to see it.
was in Narayan Maharaj.
Oh, we're going to do chanting,
No.
Oh, nice.
and we're also going to do the one based on the Gita Govinda and
Didn't give us-
Smara.
We don't know how to find you because you didn't give us the link.
Well,
Mercy, Grace. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
we need
you
to
can
send
give
it.
him the
And
link.
it's in WhatsApp. I should send it to you.
yeah, he can send it to your WhatsApp.
Send it
So
to me.
it's Mercy, Grace, and Leela.
That's tomorrow.
That's the no. That's the
It's-
title of the group. The
No,
Zoom.
tomorrow. It's
And
Tuesday.
it's tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's
No,
tomorrow.
not tomorrow. This second.
Oh, it's the second. Okay.
It's starting today. There's 3 days
Today's
celebration.
tomorrow's the first. Oh, so it's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
What time? New York time.
Oh, we're not. It's the Wednesday when it's going to be during.
Probably right after Guru Das's
No, it's
presentation.
it
for us,
starts
yeah,
at
well,
8:30
it
their
starts-
time. It starts at
No, it's
8:30 our
10.
time.
It's 8 hours.
Oh,
So it starts at 10 for us.
so we're going to be
but we won't be
singing at
singing until the
9:40
end.
our time.
No.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us a link or something?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's going to conflict with Guru Das's
Maybe.
program.
Maybe. I
Well,
think it's
it'll be
right.
recorded, but come if you
Okay.
can for part of it.
Okay.
Please send the links out. Panchakalpa Trubhischa Kripa
Namo Namah.
Prabhupada ki jai nitai gaur bimini.
Oh, Hare